Welcome back, everybody. This is Modern Randy. I am Randy, and a couple things before we get started. Hope you all are having a wonderful holiday season here. I know I am. As always, guys, if you like what you're seeing, like what I'm doing, go ahead and leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you guys are playing in Modern. I'd love to hear what kind of brews you guys are coming up with, as well as the name is being changed from Modern to Randy to either like RCQ with Randy or just Magic with Randy. Since I kind of cover every kind of format out there, essentially, or all the RCQ formats, I should say. But without further ado, let's get into this. This is one of the new, well, not new decks. This is one of the decks coming back, though, since the unbannings and bannings we had in Modern. This is kind of a deck that has now been allowed to play again because the ring kind of made this deck invalid, essentially. It was really good at kind of destroying Indomitable Creativity deck. The ring just kind of invalidated like your big card you wanted to hit, which was Archon of Cruelty. So it kind of just like had to put this deck to the wayside. And now with the unbanning of Faithless Looting, we are seeing this deck, kind of resurge and do well again because it's getting, it has a good loot effect now. It's able to play a couple different avenues for getting out Archon of Cruelty. So it's just one of those things where like we're seeing it showcase and so seeing how well it can do essentially as a whole. So for anyone who's not familiar with this deck at all, this is 5-color creativity is what it's called. Basically, we're really 3 colors. We're majority black, red with green for Wrenn and 6, and then we're 5 colors for white, and with Leyline Binding as being one of the best removal spells, as well as some sideboard cards too, because white always has the best sideboard cards. So the deck as itself is playing the 4 Dwarven Mind. This card is really good for Indomitable Creativity. It allows us to get creatures out without having to play creatures in our main deck, essentially. So as long as you have 3 or more mountains, when this comes into play, it enters the battlefield untapped, and you get a 1/1 red dwarf token creature. Notice we're playing all mountains besides our fetch lands. So we're playing Blood Clips. We're playing the Elegant Parlor, Jetmir's Garden. Of course, we're playing a mountain, Sacred Foundry, Stomping Ground, and Xander's Lounge. All of these are mountains to help turn on our Dwarven Mind. Then we have, Lightning Bolt and Thoughtseize as our one-man interaction. Thoughtseize still is a hell of a card. Who would have guessed it? Wrenn and 6, this card has basically, not been seen in Modern for quite a long time. I don't know if this card's still good enough as a whole. I know why this deck is playing it, because it wants to, consistently hit its land drops for only running 20 lands. This lets us kind of cheat on mana, essentially, being able to cast Wrenn and 6, upticking a couple times, getting back our lands, powering out, Dwarven Mind to turn on Indomitable Creativity, play our cards. It all makes sense as a whole. It's also really good to have extra lands in your hand when you have these looting effects like Faithless Looting, Fable the Mirror Breaker, and Bitter Reunion, to turn those extra lands into real cards. So not too surprising there. But I do think Wrenn and 6 is still incredibly weak in this format, but people are winning with this deck, so clearly, I don't know everything. But just one of those things where, Wrenn and 6 is coming back into the meta, essentially because of this deck. It's not really seeing play anywhere else. So it's kind of surprising to see, one ring gets banned and somehow Wrenn and 6 becomes quote-unquote playable again. That being said, going over, we're playing Faithless Looting here. The big reason why we're playing Faithless Looting in this deck is it allows us to play Persist as well. So we get to put, a non-legendary creature card from our graveyard onto the battlefield, but it has a -1/-1 counter on it. So being able to, put Archon of Cruelty into the battlefield either from the graveyard or through creativity is just huge. It gives us 2 axes of fighting. So, our opponent's just, holding up kill spells all the time for our creativity. Now we can just persist them back onto the field. And let's be real, if you go, turn 1 looting, discard creativity, turn 2 persist, there's not many decks that are going to be happy to face that, right? Putting a 5/5 flyer onto the battlefield, making them tag a creature or a planeswalker, discard a card, and lose 3 life while you draw a card and gain 3 life is a huge little tempo swing there. And every time we're attacking with it now too, it's just a fast clock. It's hard to answer. It's a 5/5 with 6 or 8 covered mana cost, so there's no way to easily kill this with like Fatal Push or anything crazy like that. So it's just a hard card to answer essentially. But we're also, playing Bitter Reunion as another looting effect, and we're playing Fable as both a looting effect, a creature effect. It just does it all, right? Like, I don't need to talk to you about how good Fable the Mirror Breaker is. Everyone knows how good this card is. Like I said, we're playing five colors, quotation marks around that, for Leyline Binding as our way to, answer pretty much any kind of non-land permanent that our opponent's gonna put on or throw at us, basically. And then, like I said, so Indomitable Creativity is 4 mana. So three red and X. You destroy X artifacts and or creatures for each permanent destroyed this way. Its controller reveal a card from the top of the library until an artifact or creature's card reveal its way. Exile that card. Those players put the exile cards onto the battlefield. Then you shuffle. So obviously the only creature we have to hit or artifact we had to hit is Archon of Cruelty. So notably on turn 4 is, you can fetch out your Dwarven Mine on turn 4. You have 3 mountains already in play. This is going to give you a 1/1. We can creativity for 1. And obviously with creativity for 2 or 3, it's never a bad thing hitting multiple Archon of Cruelties. So this deck is something that has finally come back into the metagame. It used to be really big before the ring got printed, and it kind of dropped off when the ring got printed, and then obviously the ring grew and grew in popularity. This deck just kept dropping off because it does have a target opponent on this Archon of Cruelty. So if your opponent plays the ring, obviously Archon of Cruelty doesn't do anything, so you're getting time walked in that case. It's just, and this deck couldn't play the ring, right? Because you can't play the ring because the download creativity hits would flip over until you hit the ring, and then putting the ring into play isn't good if you're not getting also the benefit of not being able to take any damage or be targeted. So kind of makes sense why this deck just fell off as a whole. But it's always glad. I'm kind of glad to see the deck come back into play. It's interesting to see it start doing well. It is a deck that we could see seeing here in the RCs coming up for Modern. Here we have them. I know the US RCs here are in February and March, and I think Europe's is coming up in January, I want to say. It might still be February as well, but we have the RCs for Modern coming up, so we're going to see some new decks coming out. We're going to see these banned cards getting played, or these previously banned cards, as to say, Faithless Looting, Green Sun Zenith, Mox Opal for sure. All these cards are going to start seeing play. Maybe Splinter Twin. I'm not sold on Splinter Twin being playable yet. We'll still see on that one. Jury's still out on that. But this is one of the decks that has benefited from those bannings and unbannings. And then just as a quick sideboard here, we're playing 3 Lifelines of the Void plus a Surgical Extraction. Graveyard Tragedy at all-time high. Faithless Looting just got unbanned. No surprise there. We're having we have essentially 4 cards here for graveyard shenanigans. Notably, too, the best thing about this is Leyline Void works so well with Faithless Looting. You draw Leyline of the Void late game. Faithless Looting just lets you loot it away. You don't have to worry about hanging on to it, anything like that. We're playing an Orange Chant and a Hollow Moonlight here. Hollow Moonlight, I'm going to guess, is for the mirror match. For sure, because this deck has been popping up a lot. Orange Chant's good against any of the, the combo decks running around, Storm, things like that. Then we have 1 Meltdown, 2 Sony Silence, and 2 Besajus, which are mainly here for artifact removal, artifacts, and enchantment removal, essentially. Being able to stop them, slow them down. Besaju also doing work against Titan as well. Being able to hit, the amulets, things like that, or like their bounce lands and a pinch and whatnot. So just, good cards overall. Not too surprising to see them in. We have 2 Veil of Summers here for the counterspell decks. Of course, we still have Grixis and Blue-Black Frog running around. That deck didn't go anywhere. It got better because the ring got banned. So not too surprising to see those still running around and why we'd have a sideboard plan for them. And of course, we have 2 Trestodons as well. This is just a pivot, essentially. It's good for destroying, problematic permanents your opponent's going to put into play. Or anything that you kind of have to worry about, it just gets destroyed and they get a 3/3 green elephant. Or you can blow up your own, lands and stuff and just put on a massive clock with your opponent if they can't handle that. So not too surprising. This has kind of always been a 1 of 2 of in the sideboards of these decks. If you look back previously before the ring and all that, they were playing these in the sideboard. So not too surprising as a whole. But like I said, it's nice to see, creativity come back into the meta. It's nice to see these quote-unquote older decks getting a breath of fresh air, showcasing that, they aren't dead in the water and even kind of changing and moving on. Like I said, we have, the Indomitable Creativity decks used to run Persist. It used to just be creativity, Archon of Cruelty type situation, but with looting being in the format, it makes Persist so much better, and especially being able to just, do a turn 2 Archon of Cruelty, that's a lot for a deck to deal with. So not too surprising to see this happen, not too surprising to see the 5-color version come back. I know there's a Mardu version running around, there's a Jund version running around, some other different variants of this deck, so not too surprising to see the 5-color come back out as well, with it being so easy with the triomes, essentially, just being able to make it turn on real easily. But as always, guys, if you like what you're seeing, if you like what I'm doing, go ahead and leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, it really helps me out, and let me know what you guys are playing in Modern, what kind of brews you're taking out, and I'll catch you guys next time.